Well, I live on the Samuda estate, and our residents' association is called SELMO, the Samuda Estate Local Management Organisation. And I'm also, apart from being chair of that organisation at the moment, involved in the Tower Hamlets Wide, the Borough Tenants Federation. Our next meeting, next Monday, the day before your commission meeting, is about the Olympic legacy, where we're looking at housing, at the housing we're going to get, which again, I think probably you'd find the government and those in charge of the Olympics telling us, it's great, we've got a great legacy from the Olympics, all this housing. I think it's about 1,500 properties are available for social rent overall. Now, Tower Hamlets' waiting list last year was 23,000. But that 1,500 properties is there to serve 5 or 6 London Olympic boroughs. In terms of fairness, I've seen particular unfairness on my estate, which has perhaps been replicated in different ways on other estates in the borough. I just want to tell you the story of 2 residents on our estate. Joan lives in a 3-bedroom maisonette. She's a single mother, but her flat is still in the public sector. It's ex-council and now run by a housing association. Her rent is £600 a month. Diane, on the other hand, lives in a private flat, a flat that used to be in the public sector, but was bought under the Right to Buy scheme. And it's owned by a woman who lives out in Barking. She charges £1,400 a month. And that rent, of course, is subsidised by housing benefit. That's where the public subsidy goes, not into the pockets of benefit scroungers, into the hands of private landlords who don't care and just want to get a profit out of tenants.
Okay, my name is Mohammed Shabir Ahmed. I'm known as Shabir, and I've been living and working in Tower Hamlets over the last 20 years. It was exciting to have our own house, but at the same time it was a bit sad having to leave Tower Hamlets, where my family still reside, and most of my sort of extended family, my relatives, friends and associates that I've known for the last 20 years. Which means even though I have moved out of the borough, it's a case of having to come back to the borough to work. And I pretty much spend most of my time in Tower Hamlets and only, as my wife says, go to sleep in Newham. I think this is a real issue, and I'm sure if you have spoken to a lot of families who have saved up money and have been able to purchase a property in places like Ilford, Gants Hill, and maybe further afield, that even though they have moved out, but all the family connections, the sense of sort of community is still in Tower Hamlets. And very often you'd find uncles, elderly parents who are having to commute back in to do the grocery shopping, to visit the mosques, the community centres. I haven't been able to persuade my parents to move out of the borough because they feel this is where they belong, this is where they have decided to settle, and unless they're forced to move, they're not going to move.
When I first came down to London, I wanted to live somewhere that was close to work, and I was working in Chancery Lane and my husband was working in Bank. So we moved to Bethnal Green just because it was on the Central Line and the transport links were really good. I own a house, 3-bed house on a really nice street in Bow, and we've lived there for about 2 years. And before that we owned a flat in Bow, and that was a 2-bed. And then before that we were renting. It's a bit like what the East End is famous for, in that everybody's really friendly and helps each other out. We had a big street party for the Jubilee. It's one of those kind of places. I do consider myself really lucky to live where I do. I've got lots of other friends with children who live in flats and they're much more squashed than we are. And yeah, I'm just really fortunate that my husband's got a good job, so we were able to get a good mortgage in this time of really difficult financial situations.
My name's Jack Kerr. I'm on a graduate programme at Tower Hamlets Council and I work in adult social care.
My name's Daniel Kerr.
I'm on the same graduate programme, and currently I work in the street works team. Currently we're living with our parents still, and we've been living in Tower Hamlets for 23 years. Basically just saving up money really, to try and save up money to get a place of our own, but to rent privately would be a lot of money for us. We don't, because we're in employment, we don't really have sufficient need to sort of jump up the waiting list, which is, I think it's 23,000. And Tower Hamlets is, because of its sort of economic strength over the last 10 years, it's sort of boomed. It's, the standard of living's been raised, and you've sort of got people who's been left behind. And they, like I saw it reported that the average wage of a worker in Tower Hamlets is 58,000 or something like that. But growing up in Tower Hamlets, and still today, nobody that we know, we ever seen, earns £58,000. And one thing you constantly see is all these new houses being put up. They're posh houses, they're modern looking houses, and you sort of wonder who's going to move into them, who they're being built for. Is it the average worker who earns 25k and lives in Tower Hamlets, or the person who earns 58k works outside of Tower Hamlets, and they think, I'm going to move closer to where I work? That's all the houses are being built for. So it's not fair. It's inflated housing prices, and we feel like we're sort of going to be left behind, be forced out of the borough because of it. Because it's going to take us a long time to sort of earn 58k.
My name's Col Schumer. I've lived in the borough for 38 odd years.
My name is Sultana. I've also lived in the borough for, well, I'm 33 now, so I've lived all my life. I was born here as well.
Like this borough, we can walk out with our, hijab and everything out openly. Because my parents just moved, our parents moved in Barking. She doesn't go out of the house in Barking, does she? She's really scared. And the only time she went out, because an incident, she went out with my sister, 17 years old. They were on the bus, because she wears the facial thing. They were shouting out Taliban, Taliban, and she got really scared. And this is a woman that's been here for 30, 40 years of her life.
I've lived with my mother-in-law initially. We had a permanent place. I think I got married 2001, 2003. I had one child, so obviously there was 3 of us sharing one bedroom, so we put our name down on the housing waiting list. From there we waited, I think the following year I had another child, so I had 2 children. There was 4 of us in one bedroom. We lived like that for 4 more years, about 5 years in total. We went into a B&B, and then we got our property. We got our temporary property now. Again, we've been giving also eviction notice to leave our property within 1 month.
The cap, basically the cap doesn't affect me that much, but I can see it does affect a lot of people, because I have been speaking, in school with women who don't speak English, and they have come and asked me what is the cap about. But there are women who have been through domestic violence. It's affecting the single mums a lot. But now a woman, to get out of a domestic violence situation, if she has 5 children where the husband's working, and then she wants to get separated from that husband, she has to think 3 times, 4 times before she takes that step.
My name's Mrs. Welfare. I live on the Isle of Dogs. That's where I was born, where my mum and dad, all my family, we go back 5 generations that have lived on the island. My daughter now was born on the island. I've lived in my property for 45 years, so my daughter was born there. But my daughter has been on the housing list for 14 years, and she can't get property. She goes to work, doesn't earn enough money to buy a property or even to rent on the island. It is really, really expensive. Well, I mean, I look at the changes now. I mean, we've got the Canary Wharf, which was once docks where my husband and all my family worked. It looks very nice. I mean, and I do shop round there occasionally. It's nice to go round there, but you just think this small island that was so communal, and now it's just these big blocks of flats that they've built that cost millions, some of them. It's just seems ordinary people have just been priced out. And the prices of the properties on the river, you think, oh, you'd love to live here, but they're just out of reach of just ordinary people, so I just think it is unfair where young people can't get properties. As I say, my daughter works, but I can't afford to pay the rents of private accommodation. And because she seems she's not got a family, she doesn't matter. I mean, and she's not the only one. So there is other people like her, you know, you've not got a family. So you're right at the bottom of the list, and you think 14 years, surely you would be up there somewhere. I mean, I know council of property is hard now, you know, there's not enough. But I think after 14 years, she should at least be up there somewhere.
I have 6 children and myself and my husband, so we are 8 persons living here in these 2 bedrooms. I have an eldest daughter, her name is Tabassum Kutub, and she done really well in this situation. I have 2 bedrooms with this situation. She passed her GCSE, she got 7 A-star, and she's doing A-level now, which is, I'm so proud of my daughter that she's in this. She does so much hard work, and she needs her own space, which is I couldn't give her. I have to give my children 1 room, and I have to play with them, and I have to give her time to do her homework and stuff, not to get any disturb, and which she's done. I am so proud of her that she's done very well. It's 13 years. Yeah, 13 years, at least. And since now they have been offered me a new house, which is 5 bedrooms, and I get myself so excited now. I'm feeling that I'm getting better. My children are really happy. Oh, Mom, are you sure we got a new house? Yes, we are. But when are we going to move in? When are we going? They keep asking me so many questions. I've been telling them yes, next week or maybe before Christmas. I keep telling them. And they've been so excited.
You want to know how long I've lived here? I came here in 1950. So what's that, 62 years ago? I think I must be the oldest resident on the Ocean Estate. I was in hospital with TB, and my husband used to go away to sea. I've got to come home from the hospital and go into 2 rooms where you had to take the water up and the coal, everything you had to carry upstairs. So we went to the council, and he sat there until he saw the head man. When he told him the story, he said, my wife's in hospital, and when she comes home, that's what she's coming to. And that's how we got that flat. People come here now, they seem to get the flat straight away. How they do it, we don't know. I mean, when we moved in this block, there were 24 white people, all racist, if you like. But now, there's only her and I left. All of them in there.
Right.
Well, all the rest are Asian.
Well, you ain't got
nothing against them. But that's what we're saying, you know, they're all English. Now there's only 3 of us left.
And my son was born in this flat morning. And he's still with me, actually. 37 years ago. Still with me. Keeps an eye on me.
We're all right. We're quite happy there. We're content. We don't want to move anywhere else.
No.
Yeah, I arrived on the Ocean Estate about 12 years ago. I'd been in the Isle of Dogs before then, and moved into this over 50s block at this side of the ocean.
We emigrated into this country in 1958. The first place we were staying at was in a shelter where there's various families until they find properties. We were moved into a family of 6 into private dwellings on the Collingwood estate.
I think the quality overall of the refurbishment is exceptionally high. I'm really pleased with the results. The landscaping is incredible. Families are out on the benches. The whole community is opened up. But again, the disadvantages are really around job opportunities and leisure opportunities for kids. One of these contractors is doing a great deal with apprenticeships. That's one of the reasons why we chose them, to provide employment for local. But more could be done.
My worry is with the East End is the heritage, how things are taken away from us. There's a lot of petitions that's going around, you know, whether it be a library or a school or maternity hospital. They're taking away the culture and the history because of lack of housing. There's more building and it takes the green space away from them.
I'm on the Tenants Federation for the borough, and we hear a lot of complaints from tenants coming into the meeting saying that they are not being listened to by RSLs, and how unique the Ocean is in that we've tried to preserve that space for the community, and I think so it is fairly unique.
My name's Brenda Daly. I'm the chairperson of the Ocean Estate Tenants Association. I've lived here all my life actually, not necessarily on the Ocean Estate.
My name is Anne Moore. I lived on the Ocean Estate for 9 years. Prior to living here I was homeless.
Yes, I have two sons. One lives in Middlesex, he lives near Richmond actually, and my other son, his wife and his daughter live with me, my granddaughter, because they can't get a place to live. And that's a bit ironic really, isn't it? You know, I fight for people's rights to get them somewhere to live, and I've got my son and his wife and my granddaughter living with me because they can't get anywhere. Well, I suppose I've got a bug to bear really, but I just think sometimes with homeless families seem to always go to the top of the list. Someone can be on the housing list for 10, 12, 15 years and they sit and wait patiently. But somebody can come into the borough as a homeless person and get rehoused. I mean, a prime example would be Tina, right? My son's lived here 45 years. He still lives with me. Tina lived abroad for many years, 38 years, come into the borough as a homeless person and got a flat.
Well, it wasn't just that I was homeless, I was also old. So I had two things going in my favour.
Well, I think my son will be old when he gets a flat, actually, so it'll be all right. When we do new builds and stuff like that, we need not only to look at young people and people with families, we need to look at elderly people who want to be part of the community but find it extremely difficult if they're on the 10th floor, there's no club, there's nothing for them to do. And I think, you know, when we do rebuild, we need to have them things, something put in place for them, because this service that we have here with Warden Control is, I mean, it's priceless.
I just think that somewhere down the line, leaseholders on this estate are getting a bit of a rough deal.
There's lots of properties that are sublet by the landlord. I think if there's going to be works done, major works, those landlords should be made to pay the full cost of it, and a cap for the leaseholders that are in the blocks that live there, so their bill would be less paid. But they're running a business, some of them own 2 and 3 properties, and for them it's cheap. They can get that back. Rent 3-bedroom flat, £1,800 a month they're getting from students, because a lot of the makeup of a lot of these flats here, because of Queen Mary College is student, it's quite a large number of students from Queen Mary's. But things change. I mean, you know, nothing stays the same, but it still doesn't mean to say that it's not a community. It is. It's just that it's a mixed community, but you work together, and if you don't work together, you've got nothing.